I'm out of ideas for intros. Hey guys, it's Natalie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing something called all about age regression, or AGERE. Kind of just to explain it, the general idea of it, some terms regarding it, why it happens, who does it, all the fun stuff, just so you can get kind of a better idea and a better sense of what we as age regressors, what we as age regressors do. First of all, I want to give a quick shout out to my friend Courtney for sending me these questions. I did make up some myself, but they're both personal questions and just general questions about what age regression itself is. I'm gonna start with personal questions, just about my regression and about me doing it and how I do it, why I do it, all that. First question is, how did you start? Funny story, I've mentioned this in my previous videos, I have been regressing for years, probably closer to like 7+ years I've been actually regressing. It's been a very natural instinct because I lost a lot of my childhood, so regression is kind of a way for me to earn that back, you know, kind of live the childhood that I never really had. That sounds really sad, but I mean, that's the reason why I do it. So I started doing that, and then later on, as I got a little bit older, I had to have been 12 or 13 when I first made my first account for regression. Sorry, I did a really weird thing with my tongue. And it was not age regression, it was, and I didn't know. I still pity myself to this day because I was so young and so vulnerable. I didn't know where to go, and I mean, because there's a much more overwhelming amount of people in aspect of it, like age play and DDLG and all that kind of stuff. There's much more people there, so if you look it up on the internet or on Instagram, probably the first thing that's gonna come up is DDLG, and that's what I saw. So I was like, okay, well, there's people like me, so I just assumed this is my community, I'll join it. Hold on, we're gonna fix my hair. Good enough. A lot of bad things happened to me in that community because I was so young. I left that after a while, and soon I just took a break from Instagram itself regarding regression with any account, and then I discovered age regression. I had to have made my first account in 2018. I think it was great. I did have a previous one than the one I have now. I had about 400, 450 followers. I got deleted because of a troll, and I was very upset about it. I lost everything, so I took another break, and then I made my new one in 2019. I've been doing it for a while, but the whole account thing I've had recently. But yeah, I've just been doing it kind of my whole life. That was really long. That took up 5 minutes of the video, and there's like 20 questions. You know what? It's fine. We're gonna be here a while. Grab your snacks, sit back, relax. We're just gonna have some fun with this. How did you learn about AGERE? I kind of explained that already. Kind of. I learned specifically about AGERE, like, by doing more research, being like, okay, well, I know this isn't like a thing. Like, I know this is just something that I want to do for myself just to cope and all that. I don't know, we're Mamma mia. So I kind of just did some more research, and then I found out the term age regression. It is therapist approved. How did you feel when you started regressing? Don't remember, I just know that it was very comforting. It always has been, still is. It was a very comforting thing for me, like in a way of coping and just kind of regaining that innocence from when I was a child. Is it scary to bring it up to others? Yes. The main thing with me is just fear of being judged. I mean, usually I'm okay with really like opening up like why it helped me. I don't really like going in depth about it. I mean, kind of explaining like how I have passies, how I have all this fun stuff. When I do bring it up, usually, if I'm not that close with a person, or if I just bring it up, I just kind of mention that I use it for coping, and that's just something I do. I don't usually go too in depth with it, because I'm afraid of being judged. What is the biggest difficulty with regressing? For me, now, it's... all the clouds are pretty. Sorry. The biggest difficulty with regressing for me now, like right now, is my mom being home and my sister being around, especially during quarantine. It's a lot tougher because I don't really have much time to myself. I mean, like I do, but even during the day, I'm currently in treatment for anxiety and stuff. It's 8 hours a day, so you know, I don't really have time to do it during the day, and I very rarely do it because people are home, but I'm actually homeschooled too, so when people are at work or at school, my sister's at school, it's a lot easier for me. The days that I'm home, like by myself, I tend to do it, and at night, I mainly do it. So that's like kind of the biggest difficulty, the biggest obstacle is just being around other people. If it wasn't, I would be a lot more, probably at least once every day. What are the reasons you regress? A little bit of a trigger warning, just like before this whole little thing. For mental health and physical health, and also just like I explained earlier, not having a childhood. My parents divorced when I was about 6 years old, and I think at that point I was very forced to grow up. You know, my parents took very good care of me. I saw them both evenly and still do. But you know, I didn't really know how to get... good gravy! Get out of my house! It's actually outside my window, but that was terrifying. Ever since then, I've kind of just lost that aspect of childhood. Like, I couldn't go somewhere or do something because I was at my mom's or at my dad's. I didn't really have that kind of, oh, carefree, like, go outside every day. I had a schedule. So a lot of my time was spent being upset about that, too, about losing my parents being together because, you know, I was a kid. Health-wise, so I have a emetophobia/anxiety, which is the fear of vomit and nausea and just the sick. I also have OCD. I've got sensory processing disorder, which is why I'm a very sensory-induced person/baby. I have PTSD as well. So I have other stuff, but that's like the main stuff. So if I'm really anxious, or if I'm panicking, or if I'm just not in a good state of mind headspace, I go to my good headspace, which I would consider my regression headspace. But mainly for that, and also for physical health, I have irritable bowel syndrome, which is a chronic stomach illness and just chronic abdominal pain/gastritis. I've had that apparently like my whole life, but they just kind of found it recently. If I am in pain physically, sometimes it's hard for me to regress because the pain kind of distracts me, you know what I mean? And it can kind of get me out of headspace. My body's like, all right, well, your stomach hurts. And that does not fit well with the emetophobia. So if both of them kind of go together, there's no way I can regress because, you know, I won't be able to stay in the headspace or it'll just go impure. Do your parents and friends know? No. Some of my friends do, my very close friends and people who I trust, but my parents do not know. I've brought it up to my dad, just kind of what it is, but not like the extent of like what I have. And lastly, for the personal questions, what tips do you have for someone who wants to experiment with AGERE? Do it! First of all, do it. I think it's good just to talk with somebody who has experience in it, read some articles about it if you're not too aware of it. Just kind of do research, I would say. Do whatever feels right for you, whatever feels natural. People regress in infinite different ways, and every way is valid as long as you're not doing anything inappropriate during it, you know what I mean? It's experimenting with yourself, seeing what's comfortable for you, what you want, what you don't want, what would be best for you, because regression is tailored to each individual person. Everyone's got a different headspace, including myself. So I would encourage experimentation. If you need help with that, DM me. I'm gonna get my chapstick. The one So starting off with actual general question. First of all, what is age regression? Age regression is basically something where somebody slips or regresses back to a headspace that is younger than their own. For example, a baby, a toddler, a kid, a teenager, even an adult. It's mainly used for a coping mechanism, for health reasons, mental health, just for fun, just to do it to escape, to cope. My hair looks weird. What's the regression community like, and why don't certain people associate with it? Good question. Me personally, I don't associate with the age regression community, solely for reasons of drama. I know not everyone in the community is involved with drama, and I completely respect that. I respect everybody in the community, you know what I mean? But me personally, I got out of it because of the drama, and it interrupted my headspace. And there's a lot of like anti-behavior, there's a lot of like hating on other people, picking on other people, calling other people out. I don't want to be involved with that. That's my safe space, so I'm gonna make it my safe space. I simply just don't interact. And if someone kind of has that behavior, I tend to remove them from my following or just not really interact with them. It's the main reason why people don't associate with it. It's just for those reasons, like associated with drama and just for the purpose of ruining their headspace. Like, you know, because that is their safe space. It's where they escape to. So they want to be away from that, which is completely understandable. Major respect to anybody in the community. You know, I have nothing against them. Why do people regress? Coping, fun, or instinct? Kind of all three. Like I mentioned earlier, it really can be used for anything. I mean, coping with just getting away from your thoughts for a little bit. And, you know, I do it for fun sometimes, even if I'm not feeling panicky or anything. I also want to bring up, there's something called impure regression. And impure regression is basically the same as age regression, except it's not the pure, innocent, and happy headspace that you usually see associated with age regression. Impure regression can be bad. It can just, you know, it can just be filled with a lot of intrusive thoughts. It can be filled with a lot of bad things going through your head. It can just kind of be something like that you would experience when you're big, regular headspace, but just while you're in your little headspace, and then it can really mess with like your little side, and then it can just kind of be a whole disaster. Some people do regress solely impurely, and you know, that's fine, because I mean, everyone has their way of coping with things and escaping, but impure regression usually is not a lot of fun. Just wanted to bring that up. What do you do to put yourself in a headspace? And do you have to fake it till you make it, or does it come on its own? It depends. So it's kind of the whole thing with voluntary and involuntary. Some people voluntarily regress, and some people it happens involuntarily, meaning it happens on its own and they can't really control. Now that can be an issue, and so that's kind of where it's like, okay, maybe you should try to keep it a little bit more in check, and even if it's, you know, if you have to go to work or something like that and it distracts you, then yes, that can be an issue. Usually it's all about environment, and I think just encouraging yourself into it. I mean, me personally, I like to surround myself with like my stuffed animals, my gear, put on a show, like just have myself comfortable and in that headspace like with the past, to make myself comfortable, to kind of ease myself into it. For me, it happens both voluntarily and involuntarily. It can just be triggered out of literally nowhere, or I would have to ease myself into it if I wanted to get into it and it wasn't happening. There's things called regression blocks or regression droughts where people don't regress for a long period of time. This happened to me and it's not a lot of fun. It can discourage people, and if you're going through that, keep going. It will get better and you will regress again eventually. It just needs to get over. There are certain events that can prevent it. There are certain events that can kind of ruin it for you, but I promise it does get better. What does the demographic look like for little space? Gender, sexuality, big, little, etc. Good question. So mainly when you think of age regression, when you see it, it's mainly teenage girls or like adult girls in like their very cute and pink aesthetic, you know what I mean? Like all that stuff. But there is a lot of different kind of little space. Everyone has their own style in general and including in little space. You don't see a lot of male regressors, and you see also a lot of trans regressors because that helps a lot of transgender people. And sometimes people stigmatize against boys who regress or people who don't have the same aesthetic. Typically see like an alternative aesthetic or people who curse. Everybody regresses different, and it's so important to stress that. And I just want to let you know that your regression is valid as long as it's not inappropriate or harmful to you or other people. Regress how you want, dress how you want, do whatever you want, as long as you and other people are safe. Got it? Got it. What's a CG? A CG is short for caregiver. What does a CG do / what is it like to be one? So I am what they call a flip in the Safe for Work community, kind of like a switch, but safe for work. So I give care. Is caregive of care? Sometimes I am a caregiver. There we go. It took me too long to figure that out, but mainly I am a little. A CG usually does what parent, caretaker, or guardian would do for like a child. So I mean, it depends on the age range of the person regressing. It can help little get dressed. They could read them stories, you know, they can just take care of them, take them out, take them on a walk, you know, make dinner for them, you know, taking care of them basically. And I want to make sure that this is stressed. Caregivers need care equally as much as littles do, because I see a lot of the times caregivers, they do everything for their littles and they're, you know, they're very grateful, but they don't really get anything in return. It is so important to treat your caregiver like you want to be treated, because they're still a person, and if you love them, you know, you should be taking care of them and making sure they're okay as much as they make sure you're okay. Keep that in mind. Do all littles have a CG? No, they do not. A majority of them actually don't. I know a lot of the times it can be tough to regress without a CG, but like I mentioned earlier, just kind of just to surround yourself in an environment that would make you feel small, you know, just help you regress and to encourage it however you feel is necessary. Do regressors remember everything they do once they're big again? For the most part, yes, but in some instances, no. Me personally, I don't remember everything that happened. I remember the majority of it, but not everything, and sometimes they forget because it really is truly a different headspace for a lot of people. Some people normally like regress into that kind of headspace typically do, from my knowledge. Are age regressors people who act like kids or people who are a kid in a big body? They are people who act like kids. It is definitely not some sort of trapped soul inside your head. I mean, you can be a child at heart, but not actually. You can like childish things, you know, stuff like that. You're still you. You just have this kind of mindset once in a while. I'm living in a circus. Oh my gosh. What's the difference between AGERE and DDLG? DDLG stands for... As I was saying, DDLG stands for Daddy Dom Little Girl and AGERE stands for age regression. DDLG is along with its associates, which I'll go over in a little bit. Age regression is used as a coping mechanism and in a completely safe for work and non. Leading into my next question, is AGERE... No, 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 no. No, age regression is not. DDLG and its variants are, which I'll get into next. What are key terms and what are AGERE terms? Terms involve terms like DDLG, stands for Daddy Dom Little Girl, and DDLB, Daddy Dom Little Boy. MDLG, Mommy Dom Little Girl. MDLB, Mommy Dom Little Boy. CGL, which is Caregiver Little. Anything including power terms, whether it's Dom for dominant, sub for submissive, switch, which is not actually seen much as, but it actually is. Also ABDL, which is Adult Baby Diaper Lover, and also age play. Those are the main terms that you see. Now versus AGERE terms, instead of Daddy Dom Little Girl, it can be Daddy X Little Girl, because I mean Daddy and Mommy are used in AGERE and they're not inherently sexual. So there's DXLG, DXLB, MXLG, MXLB. Instead of CGL, there's CGLRE, so CGL regression, Caregiver Little regression. Those are like the main substitutes for them. SFW, which is safe for work. Another term is NSFW, which is not safe for work, which means usually 18 plus or sexual things, acts, or terms. Another thing that's kind of in the middle that people get confused is the actual term little space. That is used in AGERE. No, demons are not allowed in here. That is used in the age regression community, and that is used in the DDLG community. So it's kind of hard to determine. I see that as like a kind of like a use at your own risk kind of term, because it doesn't inherently mean term, but it's also not just an age term. It's kind of like just an in the middle. So I just, you know, use your own risk. I mean, SFW little space would be better. So there's also a thing called cross tagging that a lot of accounts do. Don't post comes up and then it's tagged age regression and then DDLG and then not safe for work. That can put us at risk as minors. You know, you can put minors at risk and it can take people out of headspace. You know, it can be very dangerous for people to be exposed to that kind of stuff. So that is very, 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 very important. Do not cross tag. I wanted to bring this up. You might see on my account, I don't accept everybody. If you are not strictly an AGERE account, I probably won't let you in unless you DM me telling me you're from my YouTube channel, which you should do. I mean, if you want to follow it, make sure you DM me first, so because I might decline your request if you're like not an age regression account. And if you are 18 plus, not safe for work or kink, you are not allowed on my account. In the kindest way possible, please do not interact with me. It is in my bio. I get people all the time trying to follow. It says all the time in their bio that they're 18 plus. That's basically the gist of it. That's really AGERE. This is a long video and I apologize, but that's basically what AGERE is. So if you guys have any more questions, comment them down below if the comments are on, which they better be. DM me on Instagram, you know, and just, yeah, let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next video and I hope you guys have a great night. Stay safe and I will see you in the next video.